Hi, everyone. So last weekend, I was just way too busy to do one of the, like a real one of these, where I'm cautious with my thoughts and sort of careful with the words I'm using to convey them. And instead, I just chatted kind of casually into my phone for a few minutes about this movie Marie and I had watched that was just unspeakably bad. I mean, not like I literally spoke about it for several minutes, but figuratively, its storytelling was unspeakable, and that's all I talked about. And it's all I'm going to talk about today because I'm still so busy, like too busy to shave. It's research season for me, by which I mean I have these research deadlines coming up. And so, in a couple of weeks, when all that is submitted, life will resume its regularly scheduled programming. But until then, this is what you get. But no matter how busy it gets, this is probably the busiest time of the year for me. But even now, in these hectic days, when the night is winding down, Marie and I still wind down together as a couple on the couch. Sometimes that's reading a book. Sometimes that's, I don't know, watching the news or a documentary or something. But when the weekend comes, it's almost always a movie that we put on and watch together. And so this weekend, we did the exact same thing as last weekend, which is we logged into my friend Jacob's HBO account. So, Jacob, if you're watching, thank you. And we started our scrolling, and that's when we noticed that the number one movie this weekend was the same as last weekend. It hasn't fallen from its position, and it's that same awful one. So I'm going to complain about it some more from a slightly different perspective this time. Last week, my complaint was that it lacked the tiniest thread of subtlety in its like huge, hideous tapestry. I mean, as utterly unsubtle as a Rob Zombie movie. That's how Marie put it while we were watching. Just gratuitous in its gore, its nudity, especially its nudity, and pretty much everything else that a delinquent middle school boy would be eager to clear from his browser history. Gratuitous that. Notice there's no such thing as gratuitous gratuity. Anything that would still be good when delivered or received in excess. I mean, my book, The Crown and the Cage God, this, which is technically my friend Leslie's copy of it. She gave it to me to inscribe, and I have to do that and return it to her. So at some point, this will be returned to you, Leslie. But I could be accused of a gratuitous subtlety in my book. But that's a topic for another time. It's hard. It's really hard to breach subtlety both gratuitously and artistically. It has been done at times. Quentin Tarantino has his moments, but this movie, this was not Quentin Tarantino, and it had zero moments. I mean, despite what its Rotten Tomatoes score, like how fresh and ripe the fruit on that vine is reported to be. The reviewers who are squishing it, and like 89%, those people, what I think they fail, and there's like hundreds of them, what I think they are like failing to grasp fully, at least, is the point that stories are meant to serve. It's like since the beginning of time, or at least the advent of the oral tradition, the entire purpose of a story to everyone listening or reading, or in this case, like viewing while also listening, what that story is meant to accomplish. I think this is going to be an opinionated statement, and maybe it's a little bit contentious, so I'll save it for the end. What isn't contentious at all, I don't think, is that a healthy life, if you're going to live in a healthful way, the segregation of disparate emotional states is important to maintain. I mean, like a comic book example would be like if you are delighted and like sympathetic and loving in the same moment that you are hateful and vengeful, and but you are the Joker. And I mean, I hope you're undergoing psychiatric care. Just as obvious, but maybe more applicable to everyone here, would be the different moods, the different mind states that we have in the day and the night. I mean, if you are super wakeful all night long, I mean, you are jittery and awake all night long, you are going to have a really sleepy and sluggish day the following morning. And if you try to fix that by like doubling your coffee intake or whatever your source of caffeine is, your 50-hour energy drink, I mean, there's a whole economy that's propped up by this. If that's how you're trying to remedy lousy daytime attention, you will be even more restless when the wee hours arrive, and you'll be even more lethargic, right? The next morning when that day comes. What you want is to be totally unconscious at night. I mean, unless you work swing shift. At night, you want to be out completely. And then during the day, when the sun rises, you want to be vividly alert and present. You want maximum separation between sleepiness and wakefulness. And the same is true for, I'll try to keep it PG, for like reproductive inclinations. I mean, if you spend 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, distracted by titillation, good luck accomplishing anything of value, anything of meaning. At the end of that half day of quasi arousal, if you try to transition into verbs, if you want to participate in the active, you are going to be depleted, you're going to be functional. Those are going to be some disappointing verbs. Um, Letting those two worlds commingle, productivity and reproductivity, just ruins both of them. And that is exactly what these stories do when they are excessively unclean, which brings us to the point of stories. I mean, as I see it, what I think the purpose of stories are unchanged for thousands of years. It's to enrich our lives. Stories make us better. Stories improve us, unless it's a movie like this one, some sort of story that appears to have been written by like a delinquent middle schooler in a poorly told stream of fantasy kind of way. It just contravenes the soul of storytelling. I mean, it's the enemy of its purpose by consumption making us worse. That's why I don't watch unclean movies, read unclean books. That's why I don't write unclean books. I honor that thousand plus year legacy, multiple thousands of years of storytelling, what it's meant to uphold. But that's all I have to say for today. I hope my departing wishes, I hope your emotional worlds, right, are isolated in orbit, and your mental health is never ruined by like a planetary collision. That's my departing hope. Okay, I'll see you next time.